The Utah Jazz needed more scoring options around their young stud Donovan Mitchell, and the Jazz drafted the always controversial Grayson Allen. He brings passion, unselfishness, heart, and intensity. He can definitely provide some scoring for the Jazz offense, and it will be much needed. He's an impressive athlete who knows how to play the game. He can contribute as an off-the-ball cutter, spot-up shooter, and he can also thrive in transition. Even though he competes hard on the defensive end, he's average at best. But the Utah Jazz are the perfect team for him to grow his game. He will benefit from the assumed Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, covering up his mistakes. Grayson has the athleticism and work ethic to become a solid defensive player, and the Utah Jazz are the right franchise to help him become a good NBA player who could play for around 10 years. My draft grade for the Utah Jazz is a B-. I'm a fan of both of the prospects the Trailblazers drafted, but I'm not sure they were the right picks. The Blazers were the 3rd seed in the Western Conference and could be a luxury tax team if they resign their center, Yusuf Nurkic. They are ready to win right now. They drafted Anfernee Simons with the 24th pick. He is crazy talented and could be a Damian Lillard type of player one day, but I don't believe he's ready to play in the league at the moment. He's not ready for the physicality of the NBA. Simons has only played against high school level competition for the most part. He didn't get to play against legit competition in college or overseas. Guards who don't have that experience, more than likely, won't be ready to contribute right away. Simons has G League written all over him. The Blazers traded for the 37th pick, which was Duke guard Gary Trent Jr. He is a terrific three-point shooter, but that's pretty much all he can do at this point. And the last thing the Blazers needed was an offensive guard who can't play defense. Gary Trent was targeted by opponents throughout his freshman season because of his lack of defense. The Blazers were in need of players who could contribute right away and could play defense. There were plenty of prospects on the board they could have chosen, like Melvin Frazier, Kyrie Thomas, Jacob Evans, or even Javon Carter. The Blazers are trying to go for it right now, and their picks just didn't make any sense. My draft grade for the Portland Trailblazers is a D+. With their first pick in the draft, the Timberwolves went with the guard from Georgia Tech, Josh Okogie. Okogie is the type of prospect that Tom Thibodeau loves. Tough, hard-nosed, and can play defense. Okogie has an NBA body with a 7-foot wingspan, which will allow him to guard 3 positions in the NBA. The athletic guard can also stroke it from deep. He was a 38% three-point shooter during his whole career at Georgia Tech. Occasionally, he took questionable shots, and he also needs to tighten up his ball handling. But his toughness, length, athleticism, and solid shooting touch are enough to take him this high in the draft. The Timberwolves were also able to draft Bates-Diop with the 48th pick. I love this pick more than their first-round pick. Keita is definitely a first-round talent who can play both sides of the ball. Despite his average athleticism, he has the offensive skill set to make up for it. He can hit the three-point shot and can go to work in the low post. His 7'3" wingspan allows him to be able to guard both forward spots. I think he should play power forward exclusively because he might not have the quickness to guard NBA small forwards. I can see him getting solid minutes behind Taj Gibson and be a nice complement to Karl-Anthony Towns and Gorgui Dieng. Tom Thibodeau will play a rookie who can hold his own on defense, and he has 2 prospects who can do that. My draft grade for the Minnesota Timberwolves is an A-. The Oklahoma City Thunder were able to trade for the 45th pick from the Brooklyn Nets, which was Kentucky guard Hamidou Diallo. Diallo is a prospect whose skills hasn't caught up with his athleticism. He showed a hint of a solid jump shot early in the season at Kentucky, but it all went downhill from there. Diallo showed a lack of awareness, shooting, and defense. He thrives in transition, as he should with his athleticism and length. I just don't think he will ever bring it all together to play in the league and make a consistent impact. OKC desperately need 3-and-D players, and with the 53rd pick, they drafted Devon Hall out of Virginia, who could be that guy. Hall is an excellent spot-up three-point shooter, as he shot 43% from three-point range. But Devon Hall lacks elite athleticism, and he is not as long as you would like a player who stands 6'6". He was a 4-year college player who helped Virginia become one of the best defensive teams in college basketball in the last couple of years. Kevin Harvey out of Texas Arlington may be the Thunder's best draft pick. Harvey is a 6'9" forward with a 7'3" wingspan and will be a stretch big man in the league. But he's more than just a catch-and-shoot floor spacer. He can handle the ball well for his size and can score off drives to the rim and pull up jumpers. but he has torn his ACL twice in the last 4 years. He had a very productive senior season where he averaged around 20 points, 8 rebounds, while shooting 34% from 3. His tools and offensive versatility should put him in position to play in the league at least for a few years. My draft grade for the Oklahoma City Thunder is a C+. The Denver Nuggets took a gamble with a couple of prospects who missed a lot of games due to injury. With the 14th pick, they selected the best high school recruit from last year in Michael Porter Jr. It's no doubt that he slid in the draft because of injury concerns. Once looked at as one of the most gifted recruits in the nation, barely got drafted in the lottery. If he can ever get healthy and get back to the level of play he was in high school, he would easily be the steal of the draft. There was a report that the Nuggets could hold him out for the entire season next year, which will be a great move. I guess the Sixers aren't the only team that's trusting the process. The Nuggets are a good enough team to make the playoffs without any production from a rookie. But I got a feeling Michael Porter will never be the same player again. He maybe will only be half the player he could have been. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see him prove everybody wrong and flourish in the NBA like he should. But there's a reason he dropped to 14. Jared Vanderbilt wasn't able to show what he can do a lot at Kentucky. You could say he is a more talented Kenneth Faried. He's a junkyard dog type of player. He's an excellent athlete and is a relentless rebounder. Most of his points came from putbacks, cuts, and in transition. But if it was one position the Nuggets didn't need, was another power forward. It seems like the Nuggets have drafted a power forward for 3 straight years. And Michael Porter is another player who can play the power forward position. The Nuggets have created even more of a logjam at the 4 position. With the 58th pick in the draft, the Nuggets drafted the big man out of UCLA, Thomas Welch. He could be somewhat of a contributor at some point, but I could bet that most scouts didn't have him in the top 100 of prospects in this draft, let alone top 60. Welch added the 3-point shot in his senior year, but his lack of mobility and athleticism will be his demise. The Nuggets were in need of a backup point guard, which makes this even more of a confusing pick. You had a chance to take a point guard like Trevon Duval at 58, and you chose to take another big man. Most of the players on the Denver Nuggets roster are power forwards and centers. My draft grade for the Denver Nuggets is a C+.